Research has shown that early involvement in recreational activities can have positive long-term impacts for people on the autism spectrum. This Autism Awareness Month, we look at the benefits of early intervention and meet 4 young people who have beaten the odds thanks to sports and music. Stay with us as we dive into your South Florida. Hello and welcome to Your South Florida. I'm Sandra Viktorova, sitting in for Pam Giganti. Well, according to the CDC, about 1 in 54 children in the U.S. is diagnosed with an autism spectrum disorder. Boys are 4 times more likely to be diagnosed with autism than girls. Early intervention and therapy can help to overcome the challenges of autism. Experts say that early action can benefit these children well into adulthood. Recreational activities like sports, hobbies, and music can have an especially positive impact on people with autism, giving them the chance to practice social skills, discover an untapped talent, and increase self-confidence. Well, as part of our most recent town hall, I was joined by autism advocate and attorney Haley Moss and UM-NSU CARD case manager Jennifer Feinstein to explore these benefits. And we hear the stories of 4 young people on the autism spectrum that have been helped through the early engagement in music and sports. Haley, let's start with you. You were diagnosed with autism when you were 3 years old. You credit early intervention with helping you get to where you are today. Tell us about the therapies that helped you and helped you along on your journey.
Absolutely. So I actually want to start backing up a little bit leading up to that diagnosis is that I was largely nonverbal and I was able to do all of these different jigsaw puzzles and I was able to read, but I wasn't able to communicate. So most of what was going on is I would be crying and screaming and pointing at things, but I didn't have any language. So to help me learn to speak and to help me gain social skills and to interact with the world around me, what my parents did is we did things like speech therapy, we did things like occupational therapy, and also floor time, which is basically engaging with children through play and toys and entering their world to help them unlock ways to communicate and meet them where they are as well.
Jennifer, I want to talk to you. You work with adults with autism at CARD. How have you seen these benefits of early intervention firsthand?
First of all, there's a lot of research that supports that early intervention is really important for developing skills and being successful. When I work with adults, people have their own story. Everyone has a different story. So some adults are like Haley, who had a lot of early intervention and have made a lot of progress. But it's really important to remember that the spectrum is broad. So we see people with different experiences. But in general, I think it's really important to think of it as incrementally improving people's skills, their ability to handle changes, to fit into how society expects people to interact, such as at school. And so the earlier we can get these children interacting with the world, the better.
Ladies, before we continue, I want you to meet 31-year-old Alex Perez, a professional musician from Miami. Alex's parents got him involved with music at an early age, which they say helped with his concentration and behavior and set him on a path to success.
This they lived in.
Quedó bien, it came out very well.
The background.
My name is Alex Perez. I am 31 years old. I am a professional bass player and I have autism.
Alex was first diagnosed when he was 2.5 years old. And needless to say, our world turned upside down. We had fears for his present situation. We had concerns for his future. We didn't know what to do, right?
Right.
We didn't know what to do. We were lost. It was like a mourning process. But soon we realized that the best thing we could do for ourselves and for him was to continue working with everything that was available at that time, any interventions, to realize whatever potential he had, we didn't know at that time. It looked really bad.
I became interested in music because of my dad, who's a musician like me.
Musicians, we might have any problems except something big in life, the problem everybody has. But when we're going to start to play, when we play, the first note come up, that's it. Problems are over there. It doesn't bother me. I have to perform. And that I know that what will help Alejandro. And I wasn't wrong.
When he started his music classes and as he progressed, his music taught him concentration, and therefore his behavior also changed. He was calmer, he was more focused, and so music has changed his life in that way.
I feel happy and good about myself when I'm playing music. Also, I feel as good as all the other musicians in the band, and in music, I'm equal with them. Me and my father, we collaborated a production for my music CD called Keep On Working, and I got to go to a recording studio and meet many other professional musicians. I played the bass and performed all the songs, and I did very well.
Thanks to his discipline, thanks to his hours of practicing and his studies and things like that, he has a career as a musician. He has another source of income, and you know that most of the people with intellectual and development disabilities don't have a job, don't have an income.
I want people to know with autism that they have the same hopes and dreams just like anybody else. We want to be accepted and respected, and we want to live a life full of opportunities and hope to be the best that we can be.
And I hope very much that he encounters people, when we are no longer here, people that are kind and that are supportive. And I want him to fulfill his dream of one day having a wife and a partner for life. I hope that he will find that, and so I will be truly happy.
Jennifer, from a therapeutic standpoint, are you really seeing music touch others like this in your program, have such a positive impact?
For each person, it's going to be different. So everyone on the spectrum is different. Alex obviously has an affinity for music. His father's a professional musician, and he has been able to make that into a career as well as an activity. But you can also hear from his musical instruction that he received, the discipline he learned from practicing. He's made friends that has expanded his social skills. So I think you can see that from the arts, such as music, it has expanded his world, and really that has led to increased self-esteem. And, that's what we want, a healthy identity for all of our adults. So not everyone is going to respond to music necessarily, but I think what's important is to expose our children to as many different activities and arts as we can early on, and see what sticks for them, see what is it that reaches them.
Jennifer, Alex's mother talked about the struggle for people with autism to find employment. Explain why this is such a tough issue for so many people and how you help adults on the spectrum find a job through your work at CARD.
Yes, employment is a huge issue. And I think we can all understand why that it might be a problem if you just think about the basic process of getting a job. Many times it involves networking. Well, that's a social skill. The interview process is basically, a traditional interview is like a social test, right? It's based on how you look and interact with people. And then the support needs that an individual might have when they're on the job can be difficult. So at CARD, we kind of approach it in a holistic way. So we focus on educating individuals. We have some programs that teach employment skills, employment finding skills, and also social skills on the job. So we have one called Job Club, there's job seekers. And then we also consult with businesses. So if individuals want to hire someone with autism, I'll go in and consult and help them sort of set up, some good systems of support for the individual. And we also just try to, welcome companies to make their whole experience more autism friendly through our Autism Friendly initiative.
Haley, you fight for disability inclusion in the workplace. Why has this been so important to you? And maybe you can share some of your experiences in the workplace.
I think Jennifer hit a lot of it on the head too, is that there's so much to the traditional interview, to the whole job process that's really difficult. And then there's the issue of once you're actually hired. So there's all sorts of things, whether it's like requesting accommodations, what rights you have, there's so much that goes into it. And something that really struck me while I was going through law school was this awareness of how many autistic people are either unemployed and or underemployed. So they're in jobs that don't match their qualifications. And I think that was really striking to me, is that you can go through all of the school, you could be the top of your field, and you still have the odds stacked against you because people don't understand. So for me, I think what I want employers to know and what I want people to know going forward and in my work doing disability inclusion and neurodiversity in particular is that autistic people and other neurodivergent individuals belong in workplaces for equal pay, equal work, things like that. And that we're also valuable team members, that we have a lot to bring to the table, that hiring us means that you're going to get a different type of thinking, that you might have different types of problem solvers, and you will have a different approach to things.
Now I want to shift gears a moment. Let's meet 11-year-old Joelle Baxter Johnston, a student at the ELS Center for Excellence in Jupiter. Joel has been active in sports from an early age. His parents say athletics helped Joel manage his autism and keep him off medication.
I'm Joel Johnson. This is my wife, Patricia Baxter Johnson. Our son, Joel, is 11 years old, and he's on the autism spectrum.
When Joel was first diagnosed, his nurse practitioner had a son who was on the spectrum, and Joel was exhibiting some of those same behaviors, and she recognized that, and she said, why don't you just go and go to Easter Seals and have them test him and have that checked out. And we immediately jumped on that and had that done, and that's when we found out. So he has had sensory issues, and he has not paralyzing anxiety, but anxiety that's so intense that it keeps him from functioning.
It's really about having empathy, being in their shoes, and understanding how the sensory issues can be overwhelming, and what are the domino effects that happen when there are meltdowns and things like that.
So we just kept following through, getting teachers and speech pathologists tutoring him on the side, and then eventually all those steps built up to the path that we're on today.
We're here at the ELS Center of Excellence, and we're actually in the foundation building. He's been a very proud student of the Learning Center for the last coming up 6 years now. He's also doing a lot of after-school activities, golf, tennis, soccer, kickball, and getting him into the sports here was more of a, well, let's get some exercise and see how it goes. I didn't think it was going to do much because I didn't think he was going to be able to hold up, but it definitely had an opposite effect of what I thought it was going to do. It made a huge difference in our lives, and it helped us from him having to go on medication for his anxiety. I mean, I really give it that for sure.
My favorite thing, well, soccer, just getting the ball into the goal. Hitting the tennis ball, really great and stuff. And on theater, just like seeing other people perform, including me.
When he's participated in the school sports, we've seen a growing of his confidence, and especially, let's just say, for instance, theater. It was a building process where he started out, didn't really want to do it, then he was really nervous about it, but he grew and he grew, he got more used to it. We took baby steps, and then he ended up doing a performance on stage singing, and that was an incredible night for all of us as a family, because we knew all the obstacles that he had overcome. And then that night, I've never seen him so confident in his life, and it really helped him with other things going on, and helped him build the confidence to try new things, and that he was going to be able to get through things. Any kind of misconceptions about children on the spectrum like Joel, I just want people to know they need to see their gifts, because they're like a diamond in the rough, and they're fighting to get what their gifts are out. And that's why they need schools like this, because we've seen Joel come from having and struggling, and we've seen what he's become and what he's blossomed into. So that there's every one of these kids, people need to really just try to see that there's something special inside, and what can they do to help bring that out.
Haley, I want to jump to you. What kind of activities were you involved with growing up? And specifically, how do you think that those activities helped you and impacted you as an adult?
So while we were watching Joel's story, something that really stuck out to me is I actually did do theater for several years, which is something I don't usually share a lot with folks, but I did theater up until I was about 11 or 12. I also had singing solos and things like that. And for me, it was a great confidence booster. I was always in the creative stuff. I was not an athlete for very long. I rode horses for a couple of years, but I had a career-ending injury. So I was truly an arts kid. But growing up, I also did a lot of drawing and painting. I still do. I also love to write. So all of that stuff has always been things that were hobbies, and sometimes they turn into something a little bit more. And for me, I think it always made me feel calm. So a little bit of that anxiety that Jennifer mentioned is stuff that I dealt with in school. So I'd always feel very like I was playing pretend every day in some regard of like, you have to act this very specific way kind of to assimilate and not to be bullied or to basically act neurotypical, for lack of a better description. It's kind of like playing pretend a lot. And I'd come home and then I would just want to draw and paint, and I'd want to do other things that would make me feel relaxed and more myself. And I think for me, those hobbies and interests really did bring me back to who I was, and they made me feel confident and relaxed and safe.
Okay, so now it's time for us to meet 16-year-old Layla Crahan. Layla is not only a Special Olympian, but she was also crowned Miss Arc Broward 2020. And now this ambitious teen is training for a long-distance stand-up paddle from Bimini to Lake Worth this summer. Layla's mom says having these goals has helped Layla on her journey.
My name is Kate Crehan, and this is my daughter Layla, and she has been diagnosed with autistic disorder. Layla has a brother who is 14. They both have been diagnosed with the autistic disorder. However, Indiana is nonverbal, and he has different hurdles than Layla has. They both have diagnoses that go with their autism. Layla has anxiety and ADHD. Indiana has apraxia and dyspraxia. I mean, it's a different world for both of them. When I first found out that there was a possibility of autism with Layla, I didn't really have a reaction. It was more, I went straight into research mode. I got overwhelmed at that point. I got very nervous, and the first thing I thought was, are my kids gonna have any friends? That was a concern. But after that, we just went forward. You know, I looked at them and I thought, man, they're perfect. And they're going to have tons of friends. And they do. I mean, they have amazing lives. Layla didn't speak until she was 5. So it's very hard trying to figure out what it is to get your kids involved with when they can't tell you what they like and what they don't like. Luckily, Layla started speaking at 5, so we started getting somewhere. But until then, I just started throwing my kids through whatever door opened to see what would stick. The first one for her happened to be swimming.
My biggest achievement is winning all 5 races in a pentathlon in Atlanta at swimming. It was one of my biggest moments of my life. I love both paddleboarding and swimming because they help me feel strong and it helps me deal with my anxiety. And I love to be in the water always.
Layla got chosen to start on the paddling team for Special Olympics. And honestly, I didn't think it was going to go very well. But when she got on that paddle and she fell off, you just saw this, like this silverback in her come out. And she was like, this is not going to beat me. And she started just mad paddling and aggressive paddling. And I just saw a different person.
I love being in the water and I love being in the ocean and seeing amazing animals, like all kinds of animals, like manatee, dolphin, birds, random fish that just jump out of the water.
Right now, Layla is training for the Crossing for Cystic Fibrosis. She has a friend with cystic fibrosis, and she wants to prove to Hannah how much she loves her by paddling 80 miles from Bimini to Lake Worth in June. So she has taken on some pretty intense training.
I'm learning about sports nutrition, and I'm paddling in longer hours and longer distances, trying to step it up.
It's very important for people with autism to have a track. Having that to focus on helps keep their world feeling safe. And the paddling has given that to her. She paddles probably 4 days a week, at least. She's also doing outrigger canoeing with a team to keep her strong, and that also keeps her in the community and with those people that look out for her, and they're constantly being role models for her, and so it has helped her want to also be a role model. Layla has a little lack of confidence there. She doesn't know if she's a role model, but she does set out to be.
Yep, and I hope to inspire other people to set goals for yourself and never give up and do the things you love.
Jennifer, I know you at the beginning of this discussion, you pointed out to me that you felt it was very important that when we talk about early intervention, that if, that no parent feel by hearing this discussion tonight, oh my gosh, I didn't start early enough, I haven't started yet, sort of in panic mode. What is your message to them about getting help early?
Yes. So if you're watching this and you have a baby who's 12 months old and you are thinking, you know what, there's something not right. Maybe they're not smiling at me. They're not turning to their name. Then you know what? Don't let anyone, even doctors, keep you from pursuing help. Because like I said, the earlier the better. So if you are watching this and you have a tiny baby, get out there and get some help. There are screeners you can do online. But also, no matter what age your child is, it is never too late. So whenever you can start therapy or experiences is wonderful. So it's not too late. I also work with adults who aren't diagnosed until they're adults. And you know what? Now they know and they understand something about themselves and their identity, and that's powerful as well. So I just, I always worry with talk of early intervention that it's going to make people feel inadequate or like they should give up if they didn't do it. But so the answer is no, it's never too late. And this is a developmental disability that will grow and change over their lifespan.
Haley, if I can switch to you a moment, Layla was talking about being a role model to others, and certainly in the amazing work that you do professionally as an author, artist, speaker, you're a role model for others. What do you hope people will get out of your wonderful success?
I think what people should get out of stories like Layla's and like mine is that we really have powerful people behind us, is that for every person that you see that seems to be successful, and that there is no one picture of success for that matter, is we are so lucky to have the support of our families and other people who care about us and love us. And I think as a role model, something that's important to me and what people should be doing is just understand that autism is different in each person and that we really just deserve the same opportunities and acceptance and inclusion as anyone else. And that's something I think that's been echoed throughout this conversation.
I would love to introduce you guys to one more special person. That is 13-year-old Jacob Velasquez. Now, Jacob was nonverbal and diagnosed with autism at a young age. Jacob is now a multi-talented musician that's making a name for himself since he was a little boy, performing for the likes of Harry Connick Jr., and most recently appearing on America's Got Talent.
I'm Tina Velasquez, and this is my husband, Willie, and our son, Jacob, is on the autism spectrum. When Jacob was first diagnosed, it was shortly after he started playing piano.
I would sit him on my lap and I'd play the piano and he'd, sit and watch. And just one day, just like that, he started playing notes that I had been playing, and it didn't take very long for me to realize that that he had something. And once he started taking lessons, he was just soaring through the books. It was unbelievable. And he just continuously progressed.
When he was 4, he was diagnosed with PDD-NOS, which is pervasive developmental disorder not otherwise specified, which is a form of autism, which is somewhat similar to Asperger's. I was so focused on his diagnosis and so worried and just constantly thinking about his future. And one day I was sitting and watching him practice, and it just occurred to me that why was I focusing so much on this diagnosis when nothing about him had changed? This was just information that I had received, but Jacob was still Jacob. Nothing changed about him. I felt that what I should be focusing on was this gift of his. And so that was a big turning point, I think, in our lives when we decided that we weren't going to let autism be what defined Jacob anymore. Well, I definitely think music's an outlet for him, especially, it definitely is now, but when he first started, he was speech delayed. So I definitely think music was more of an outlet for him. And now it means everything to him. If Jacob's not eating, sleeping, or doing schoolwork, he's playing an instrument.
Music has helped me not only with my diagnosis, but with everything. It just as soon as I pick up an instrument or sit down at an instrument, I just my mind switches from reality to this whole new universe. And, this complete, full, happy, and just super fulfilling universe that just, there's nothing that could go wrong in that place.
He works hard and he's determined, he's inspiring, and he's just relentless. And, a lot of the things that he wanted to accomplish, he has.
I've gotten to do a lot of great things in my life, but I would definitely have to give the #1 award to performing on America's Got Talent, because I've been dreaming about that for a long time now.
Going into America's Got Talent last year, Jacob played 2 instruments. And starting April of 2020, since then he's learned, all of it, guitar, saxophone, cello, harmonica, ukulele, bass. Throughout Jacob's journey, a lot of families have told us that Jacob's an inspiration to them. And so that just makes us feel really good to know, because, especially when your child's first diagnosed, it can be a really challenging time, and, it can be scary. And so just knowing that Jacob's inspiring others and giving them hope, it's a great thing.
And you can watch our full town hall on our Facebook page at Your South FL. I'm Sandra Viktorova. Thank you so much for watching.